Hello everyone and welcome to Marketerboard Educational Series 2, Episode 4, Know About Design Brief and How to Write a Design Brief. By end of this episode, you will get to know about the design brief, why it is important to write a design brief, when we need a design brief, and how you can write a good design brief. So this episode is all about related to design, creativity, and how you can bring amazing and excellent output in your design based on your brief. So let's just talk about your design brief first. So it's a document or it's a brief which help both your client and your designer capture the design idea of a project. So basically, it design or outlines the design requirement of a project from a client's point of view. So it's a bible for a designer that what is the client preference or a customer preference of their project. So they both work come together, work on the brief, and they work together to achieve the final goal of the project, which is to deliver the effective design and to build a great customer experience um, in the design point from the design point. So let's say why do we need a design brief is again it helps to define the timelines and roadmap of a success for a designer and the clients as well. So first is it's define the scope of a design project. So let's say if there are you are carrying the graphic project or a logo project and or the website project. So it defines a clear design expectation that what needs to be done and how it needs to be done and when it needs to be done. So clear scope helps them to be on track. The designer don't lose the track. Second is minimum alteration series. So if you have well written brief in a first place, so it will help you avoid the alteration series. So let's say you have designed something if based on your verbal communication and you sent for an approval and then client was expecting something else, you have designed something else. So this series goes on if there is no written document in your hand to validate the information. Third is keep everyone on the same page. Again, the same on the above point. If everything is written in on a piece of paper, so now the client knows what I am expecting from a designer, and now the designer also knows that what is expecting from him or her from a design side. So it's a clear expectation, and both will work together to achieve the ultimate objective. Fourth is it's a guide for a designer. So the brief is having certain points in terms of the tone, coloring, and other points related to design, which is a guide for a designer, which help him or her to design their creatives around it. So they will not go beyond that. So they are going to use the brief to design. Um, as around the brand. Fifth is it's a reduce ambiguity and saves time. Now, when the design brief is required, so as I mentioned, when we are talking about the design, so there are different kind of projects which needs to be taken care of when we have a design project. So we have I'm covering the four projects which covers the design part. First is logo designing project. Second is graphic designing project. Third is product design, and fourth is website design. So let's look at them one by one. That what are the points you should cover in the project brief, or as a designer, what are the questions you need to ask to your client to deliver the better output, right? So let's see how to write a design brief on for each of the project. Let's talk about the logo design project. So if let's say if you're taking any logo design project, so you need to have a better clarity on a project, and you need to have a better understanding of a brand or a business in order to design the very effective or appealing logo. So you really need to go and ask your client or a customer uh, the few questions about the brand and why they are looking for a change, what is the purpose of a logo, and what they want to denote from their logo. So these are the few questions which you need to ask to your customer. And then it's better if you document all those questions in a piece of a paper for both of you. So it will be easier for client and the designer to be on the same page. So your logo design project should cover your project name, then your client name, the brand you will be working on, contact details if in case you want to contact each other, then your product and business overview to understand the product or the brand well. Then you define the audience, like in which audience your business or a product is dealing with. So it gives an idea to a designer to design the logo around that, the name of a logo, if they want to include any tagline, if they want to give any logo design styles, the color and the toning, and what brand guidelines they have. You should ask for it because of course if you're designing a logo it should be around that. And then deliverables, when they are expecting to have this project to be done. So all these points should you should cover, and as a designer you also know what all other things you need to ask, so include that as well in your project. But yeah, these are the points which you should ask to your customer and should be documented. Second is graphic design projects. So graphic designing projects can be you're designing any offline leaflets, poster, or you may be designing the flex, hoarding, or social media creative for that matters. So for that also you need to ask your client, your customer, that why you want this particular design and what is the purpose of this design. So you will be needing certain information related to that. So it's important to document all those information. So here are the points which you should write in a document and forward it to your customer for the answers. First will be the client information, then the project background, then your target audience again, then the attitude of your audience, competitive analysis if they want to give some references about like this is what my competition is doing and I want something related to this, or same similar to this, or something more exciting than this. So this will help designer to think and brainstorm in that sense. Then the creative requirement, schedule, then when they are expecting to have these information, budget, what is their budget, because either they want them to only design and they want them to print them as well in case of the offline media, so they need the budget in hand. And then again comment and the guidelines, if they want to give any specific notes and guidelines to a designer, then a client can mention that as well. So this can help a designer to design their graphics in a straight way, without diversions or without any distractions. Third is product design. So when I talk about the product design, it's I'm talking about more from the software product design. So where it's a huge process. When we talk about the product designing in terms of UI and UX, it's a huge process, which includes the researching and knowing your customer, knowing the brand, and yeah, you need to carry a lot of Q&A session with your customers, with the customers, in order to deliver the exact result. But if you're working on the small project like small mobile application project, so you can include a few of the points in your documentation for your reference, which will help you understand the exact product design requirement from a client side. So you need to know the client information. You need to ask different questions to your client about the background, why they want this app to be developed, and what is the problem you're going to solve, and what are your target audience demographically, technically. You need to build the scenarios and personas around it to build a customer journey. Then you have attitudes, and then customer analysis can help you design one design starting point, because you have reference in your hand. Then you have creative requirements, means whether the client is expecting to have wireframes or the prototype plus or testing or loss. Well, that means whether the client is expecting to have the entire cycle, or they are looking for only the screens, which means the prototyping, or only the sketches. It needs to be clearly defined. Then schedule, either you're breaking it into phases, because app development, app designing process is the huge process. So either you're dividing it into a phases, or you're giving the stretch schedule. It's also should be defined. Then you have a budget, and then the comment and guidelines. Most of the things are common across the brief, but yeah, there are a few questions which you can add over here, which you think will be helpful for you to design the better outcome. Last but not the least is the website design. So website designing and development is two different things. So one person can do both the thing, or one can design it, or another can develop it in the different technologies. So I'm talking about the design right now. So your design brief should cover the client information, the common thing, project background is common, target audience, current website review. So if customer is already having the website, and if it's looking for the revamping, in that case you need to first do the heuristic evaluation of the website first, to understand what is the problem in the current website and why he wants to change the website. So it will help the designer um, to capture the exact requirement of a client, that this is what he wants to have in the new website. Then this about the architecture is basically the navigation flow. So this will help you to understand how many number of pages are going to be designed. Then the site features you wish to highlight. These are the basically call to action, which a user, which the client can explain over here, so that you can exactly highlight those call to action on the right places when you're designing a website. Next is site design. It's more of the look and feel point of view. Design aesthetic, how you want the desired aesthetic. Searchability, about the social media, website content, schedule, budget, comment, and guidelines. These are the points which you need to ask if you're taking any website design project. So again, it's completely depend on the designer to designer, and what kind of information they want from their customer and client in order to deliver a successful outcome. And so based on that, you can add the question. You can cut down the questions. It's completely depend on the designer and the client. So yeah, thank you. Coming up next, episode 5, how to write a website development brief. So meanwhile, you can go and check out our application www.app.marketerboard.com, and you can connect us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn.